You know, for as long as there have been countries, there's been war. And for just as long, people have been wrestling with this huge, almost impossible question: how do we make it stop for good? Well, today, we're going to dig into the story of a really radical, super hopeful idea that was born from the ashes of one of the worst conflicts in all of human history. So let's just start with the big one, the question that drove a whole generation of thinkers. How do you actually, really stop war forever? I mean, it sounds kind of impossible, right? But after the absolute carnage of the First World War, people were desperate for an answer. See, World War I, it wasn't just another war. It was a global catastrophe. You had these new mechanized armies inflicting damage on a scale nobody had ever seen before. It wiped out a massive chunk of an entire generation. And that horror, that unprecedented level of destruction, that was the catalyst. That was the moment people everywhere looked around and said, okay, the old ways are completely broken. We need something totally new. To really get the solution they came up with, we first have to understand the problem they were facing. So let's take a quick look at what caused this war that literally changed everything. For years, the world had been run by this system of so-called power politics. What that meant was countries were making all these secret alliances, always trying to balance power against each other. The theory was, hey, this delicate balance will keep any one country from getting too powerful and starting a war. But in reality, it did the exact opposite. All it took was a single event, the assassination of an archduke, and it set off this crazy domino effect through the web of secret treaties, dragging the whole world into a massive conflict. The system didn't just fail, it failed catastrophically. And right out of the wreckage of that failure, a radical new idea popped up, a theory that we now call idealism, and it was a complete and total rejection of the power politics that had led to all that destruction. And this idea had a very powerful cheerleader, the President of the United States at the time, Woodrow Wilson. Now, what's interesting is that before he was president, Wilson was actually a political science professor. He was totally convinced that a new world order was possible. He famously said the goal was to make the world safe for democracy, because he believed democratic nations were just naturally more peaceful. And this gets to the absolute core belief of idealism, which is what makes it so fascinating. It basically argues that people aren't the problem. We're not all inherently greedy or violent. No, the problem is the international system, all the secret alliances, the empires, the balance of power stuff. Idealists believe that if you could just fix that broken system, you could get rid of war itself. I mean, talk about an optimistic view of what humanity's capable of. But here's the thing. This wasn't just some fuzzy, wishful thinking. Oh no, the idealists had a concrete plan. They designed a whole detailed blueprint for how to re-engineer the entire world to achieve permanent peace. They really, truly believed they could architect a better world from the ground up. This wasn't about making small tweaks here and there. This was about a fundamental root and branch restructuring of how nations deal with each other. And their plan was incredibly thorough. First, it started with morality. They said nations had to act on principles, not just selfish interests. Next, they called for creating big global institutions, think something like the League of Nations, to mediate disputes. The plan also aimed to literally outlaw war through international law and push for massive disarmament. The logic there is pretty simple, right? Fewer weapons, less chance of war. And finally, they wanted to promote democracy and free trade, with the idea that countries that share values and trade with each other, well, they just don't have a reason to fight. It was a total top-to-bottom reimagining of the world. But this beautiful, hopeful blueprint for a new world was about to run headfirst into the cold, hard, unforgiving realities of the 1920s and 30s. And man, did the dream start to crumble fast. First, the 1929 stock market crash kicks off the Great Depression. So instead of cooperating, countries turned inward. They embraced protectionism, throwing up huge taxes on foreign goods to try and save their own economies. Then, in 1931, Japan invades Manchuria, and the brand new League of Nations, totally powerless. A few years later, Italy invades Abyssinia, and same story. The League was helpless. The new system was failing its very first major tests. The gap between the hope and the reality was just staggering. The hope was for democracies to cooperate, but the reality was the rise of fascism and Nazism. The hope was that international law would stop aggressors, but the reality was powerful countries just ignored it. The hope was that economic ties would build peace, but the reality was countries hiding behind economic walls. In every single key area, the idealist dream just shattered against the rocks of reality. So, by the time World War II kicks off in 1939, the very disaster that idealism was designed to prevent, the whole theory was basically dismissed as dangerously naive. The consensus was that it had completely misunderstood how power works in the real world. It quickly gave way to a much harsher, more cynical view of the world, one that assumes nations will always act in their own self-interest. But is that the end of the story? A failed idea just tossed on the scrap heap of history? Well, not quite. Because even in its failure, idealism left behind some powerful echoes that, believe it or not, we can still hear today. So, while that grand project of the 1920s failed, and failed spectacularly, its core beliefs, its central dream, refused to die. The ideas that international institutions matter, that cooperation isn't just possible but actually necessary, and that war is a problem to be solved, not just an unavoidable part of life, those ideas stuck around. They planted a seed for what would come next. Which brings us to one last really interesting thought to leave you with. If idealism was such a massive failure in the lead up to World War II, why, after an even more horrific war, did the world try again? Why did they create the United Nations, an organization built on so many of those exact same idealist principles? What does that tell us about the enduring, stubborn power of hoping for permanent peace?